She was young, just 21, curious, bright, and a little lost in the way many of us are when we're trying to find ourselves. Elisa Lam had left her home in Vancouver on what she called her West Coast tour, a solo trip of self-discovery and adventure, blogging every step as if writing letters to the void. She documented the ups and downs of her mental health, spoke openly about her bipolar disorder, and shared quotes and thoughts that oscillated between light and shadow. Her posts were heartfelt, poetic, and sometimes unsettling, not in a sinister way, but in that quiet, echoing tone of someone searching for meaning in a world that often doesn't give any back.
So, welcome to Mysteries with Minnie.
In January 2013, she arrived in Los Angeles and checked into the Cecil Hotel, not knowing perhaps the kind of place it was, not knowing maybe what that place had already seen. The Cecil was a relic of another time. In the 1920s, it had been elegant, but the decades hadn't been kind. By the time Elisa stepped through its lobby, it was a place with a reputation, the kind of building whispered about more than visited. Its halls had seen suicides, murders, overdoses. It had housed serial killers and the mentally ill. It had been the backdrop for tragedy after tragedy. But she didn't seem afraid. She posted pictures, wrote about bookstore adventures, met strangers. Everything seemed okay, until it wasn't. On January 31st, the day she was supposed to check out, Elisa vanished. No one heard from her again. Her parents, who spoke with her daily, raised the alarm immediately. Police were called. A search began. The hotel was combed through top to bottom, including her room, the roof, the basement. Nothing. No witnesses, no clues. Just a missing girl who seemed to evaporate into the walls. But then, the police released a video. A short clip from one of the hotel's surveillance cameras, and with it, everything changed. Elisa, alone in an elevator, behaving in a way no one could explain. She presses all the buttons in a strange sequence, then hides in the corner, peeking out as if someone is following her. She steps in and out of the elevator, moves her hands in bizarre, unnatural gestures, like she's talking to someone only she can see. The elevator doors stay open, unusually long, almost as if the building itself is watching, and then she's gone. That footage spread across the internet like wildfire, a viral mystery that caught the attention of millions. Theories poured in, some rational, some not. Was she experiencing a mental health crisis? Was someone stalking her off-screen? Or was something darker happening? Something the camera couldn't quite catch? Weeks passed. No answers. But then guests at the Cecil began to complain. The water had changed. Low pressure, a strange taste, black coloration. Maintenance was called to the rooftop tanks. One worker opened a heavy lid, and inside, floating in the dark, cold water, was Elisa Lam, naked, lifeless. Her clothes were found at the bottom of the tank, along with her watch and room key. The tank was difficult to access. Locked areas, alarmed doors, and a tank so tall and heavy it seemed impossible for her to have entered it alone, let alone shut it behind her. But the coroner ruled it an accidental drowning. No signs of trauma, no drugs or alcohol in her system. Just a girl, somehow alone, in a tank she shouldn't have been able to reach. That was it. That was the answer. At least, the official one. But nothing felt resolved. The internet disagreed. People dissected the elevator footage frame by frame. They dug through her blog. They found coincidences. They noticed that the case mirrored a horror film called Dark Water, released years before, which featured a girl found dead in a water tank on the roof of a building. They found inconsistencies in the autopsy. They learned that the Cecil Hotel had been home to Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger. They began to wonder if the hotel was cursed, or worse, haunted. That maybe Elisa hadn't just died. Maybe something had taken her. Then, another thread emerged. Elisa's Tumblr blog continued updating after her death. Posts scheduled in advance? Maybe. Or someone using her account? Or something stranger, like she was still speaking through the only window left open to her. It was too much for some, too uncanny, too eerie. The mystery wasn't just about how she died, it was about why her story felt so wrong, so unfinished. Some believed it was simply a tragedy, mental illness, poor safety, an accident wrapped in chaos. Others believed something was hidden, something intentional, a cover-up or a crime. And then there were those who didn't believe she ever left that elevator, that the hotel itself swallowed her whole, that her death was part of something ancient and unseen, a cycle, a sacrifice, a story we were never meant to understand. In the years since, Elisa Lam's name has never truly faded. Documentaries have been made, deep dives published, endless threads spun across Reddit and YouTube. But no version of the story feels satisfying. No ending ties it up neatly. Because she wasn't just a victim. She was a person with thoughts and fears and dreams, reduced now to a symbol, a glitch in reality, a mirror we can't stop looking into. And in that reflection, we see the worst of what the world can do to someone who's simply searching for meaning. So maybe it wasn't just a disappearance. Maybe Elisa's story is something more. A reflection of how fragile the line is between what we see and what we don't. Between what we know and what we can't ever fully explain. Maybe that's why we return to it, again and again, as if by understanding her, we might understand something about ourselves, or the world just beneath the surface of this one. If this story stirred something in you, give it a thumbs up. It really helps. And thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Until next time, stay curious, because the truth is rarely simple and the most haunting mysteries are the ones that never quite let go.